Welcome to Asian Horizon. Today I want to focus on President Xi Jinping's keynote speech at the Boao Forum in China last week. And I want to share some thoughts, what I think will be the key lineages in China's strategic thinking going forward. So first of all, President Xi Jinping presented his keynote speech at the Boao Forum being what would be considered the World Economic Forum of Asia, similar to what we see with WEF in Davos every year. So during the Boao Forum, President Xi Jinping outlined his key strategic thinking going forward, and he maintained a range of key points. What underlined his keynote speech was the importance of dialogue, collaboration, and cooperation in international affairs. He really stressed the importance of all countries having a role and all countries being a part of the system. And that's really important for what he really underlined. Therefore, he really rejected any country being a hegemon or any country imposing unilateral position on other countries. So that was kind of a signal towards the United States. However, what was important also was that he underlined the international system. He focused on the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization, and the UN-centered international system. So while some analysts and journalists keep saying that China rejects the international system, he in fact reinstated the importance of the international system from the Chinese perspective. And that's important to bear in mind. In addition, he also stressed the importance of green development, climate change, and he also focused on connectivity, infrastructure development. He really stressed the importance of China continuing focusing on the Belt and Road Initiative going forward. So while some journalists and analysts again, say that Belt and Road Initiative is just a fantasy or is finished, it's not going to continue, that's not the case. The One Belt, One Road strategy is very much going to continue, and China is going to strengthen that going forward. In fact, the COVID pandemic has just underlined the importance of the One Belt, One Road strategy for China. Therefore, we're going to see a range of investments in various Belt and Road, corridors, all the way from Southeast Asia through the China-Pakistan economic corridor. We're also probably going to see the emergence of a China-Iran economic corridor, as I have argued for earlier. We're also going to see a strengthening of Belt and Road Initiative programs across Central Asia, into Russia, towards Europe, in the Middle East, across Africa, as we're seeing across the East African coastline in West Africa, or Southern Africa, and Northern Africa. So the Belt and Road Initiative programs, really is going to be strengthened going forward. And that is something President Xi Jinping also focused on in his Boao Forum keynote speech last week in Boao in Hainan Island. Now, in addition to that, he also focused very much on peace and stability and dialogue. And that is a really important signal from China because it sends a signal across Asia. And he also said that after the COVID pandemic is over, China is going to invite for the second, conference on dialogue among Asian civilizations. So that's going to be really important because, across Asia, I think, there are issues and dialogue and questions about the emergence of China versus the US. However, for China's position, it is really important to maintain a focus on peaceful development and dialogue and non-interference in other countries' internal affairs, which is also something President Xi Jinping focused on in his keynote address. And that is important because that maintains China's ability to maintain dialogue with a range of partners and various countries and stakeholders in development. So from a Chinese perspective, that is very important. Therefore, going forward, I think the key fundamentals in China's strategic thinking will be a focus on the One Belt, One Road strategy going forward. That is a long-term strategic plan which China develops going forward. That is going to take a lot of countries and regions out of poverty, as we're already seeing. Now, development takes time. Economic development takes time. However, it's important to remember infrastructure is permanent. Therefore, by One Belt, One Road strategy programs which China is developing, they're really developing infrastructure on the ground, which is going to be a permanent, function in various countries. They're developing ports, railways, roads. I've personally traveled across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. I've seen myself, particularly across Africa, how One Belt, One Road programs, Chinese, development projects across the African continent are really developing economies, developing connectivity, and that is vital to be aware of. So what underlined President Xi Jinping's keynote speech last week at the Boao Forum was the importance of continuing economic development to strengthen dialogue and collaboration in the public health space, during COVID in terms of vaccine development, but also post-COVID going forward, really strengthening health capacities worldwide. So this is really, the critical key points of President Xi Jinping's speech last week at the Boao Forum. And again, to China's strategic thinking, it's going to be focusing on economic development, peace and stability, and maintaining dialogue in the international system, but also then rejecting any unilateral positions or any hegemonic positions being imposed on China or other countries. Therefore, it is through dialogue, through collaboration, and that is really vital for China going forward. And I see that some journalists and analysts, say that China is becoming very aggressive. Well, I don't think that's the case. If you look at, how many military installations China has around the world, it is really one. It's in Djibouti. While other countries have many more military installations around the world, China does not. Now, China is developing further. China is going to grow. I think that is a natural evolution. You look at the size of China, almost 1.4 billion people. And therefore, this is critical for China going forward to maintain stability, maintain peaceful coexistence with other countries. So this is really the key points. And I see that various journalists and analysts reject that thinking, but I don't think really they understand the key fundamental elements of China's strategic thinking going forward, because as I've outlined, it is focusing on economic development, it is focusing on dialogue, and as we saw with China and India, President Xi Jinping has invited Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to really join in and really strengthening collaboration with China. Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India, he was kind of, hesitant. He did not want India to be part of RCEP, the regional, comprehensive economic partnership agreement. So that was, I think, unfortunate for India, because the RCEP is going to drive economic development in Asia going forward, in addition to the other initiatives that China currently is undertaking. So these are some of the key thoughts, I think, on President Xi Jinping's keynote speech last week at the Boao Forum, and some of the key, points that I think will be important for China's strategic thinking going forward. So thank you so much for joining, and please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next week.